A woman doesn't like a man who helps her. Today you'll understand why a man should never do everything for a woman, because that will be the biggest mistake he can make in a relationship. It will make him kill the relationship, and he'll see the woman he did everything for, giving it all to a man who didn't have to do anything. You will never be loved for what you do, but for who you become when you stop begging for love. The world is full of men who built emotional castles for women who just wanted to spend the afternoon. Men who supported other people's dreams, expecting gratitude, only to discover the silent price of neediness, the loss of self. The truth is too brutal to say out loud, so I'll say it for you. Women don't fall in love with men who do everything for them. They fall in love with men who do everything for themselves. You've seen it happen. A guy who gives up everything, gives in every argument, pays for college, puts up with drama, gives gifts, listens, consoles, supports, and in the end, she disappears. Worse, she goes straight into the arms of a man who has done none of these things, who treats her with distance, who imposes limits, who lives for himself. This seems wrong, it seems unfair. But that's precisely where the misperception lies. Female love isn't earned by merit, it's awakened by value, perceived value. And this isn't in the actions you offer her. It's in the attitude you maintain for yourself. Most men confuse surrender with investment. They believe the more they offer, the greater the emotional return. But human desire doesn't work based on mathematics. It operates on scarcity, on tension, on idealization. Constant presence, unconditional pleasure, excessive accessibility kill mystery. And where there is no mystery, there is no fascination. A woman's mind needs doubt. The what if. That he could lose me, but he chooses to stay. This tension, this elegant emotional instability is the fuel of desire. When you give too much, you kill it. You become a film ending before it even begins. And here's the first contradiction you need to digest. The more you demonstrate that you're willing to do everything for her, the less she feels the need to win you over. And if she doesn't need to win you over, she doesn't value you. Because the value of something is defined by the effort required to obtain it, not by how much it was handed to her on a silver platter. This isn't feminine malice. This is basic psychology. Desire dies in possession. It grows in absence. Friedrich Nietzsche in Beyond Good and Evil said that happiness lies in the feeling that power grows, that a resistance has been overcome. And that's exactly what a woman wants to feel. That she's overcome a resistance. That she's won. That she's conquered. When you give her everything without her fighting for anything, there's no conquest. There's only boredom. And boredom is the antechamber of emotional betrayal. Now stop and think. Why do you have this compulsion to do everything for her? Where does this desperate need to prove your worth through service come from? The answer is simple and uncomfortable. A lack of internal worth. A man who sees himself as valuable doesn't need to prove anything. He selects, he filters, he doesn't beg, doesn't insist, doesn't sell himself. Male neediness is the main source of female repulsion. And the more you try to fill this emotional void with pleasure, the more she will pull away. Not out of malice, but because you're reversing the polarity of attraction. And herein lies the supreme irony. The woman you idolize didn't have to do anything to awaken all this in you. She simply appeared. She simply was what you already desired. Why then do you believe you need to work hard to make her want you back? Do you understand the distortion? She attracted you by being who she is. You try to attract her by being who she wants. This is unequal. This is losing the game before you even step onto the field. You shouldn't do everything for a woman. You should do everything for yourself. And the result of this, inevitably, will be women wanting to do everything for you. Because you've become the prize. And prizes aren't chased. They're fought for, admired, desired. That's what we'll understand from now on. Because the mistake isn't just in what you do, it's in what you believe you need to do. And changing this mindset will be the difference between being used or being unforgettable. Imagine this. He wakes up early, texts, "Good morning, my love." Then he asks if she slept well, if she's well fed, if she needs anything. At lunch, he checks to see if she arrived safely, if everything is okay at work, if anyone bothered her. Throughout the day, he sacrifices himself to be available, solves problems that aren't his, invests time, money, emotional energy. All of this with one goal: to be recognized, to be loved, to be at least valued. What does he get in return? Silence, coldness, distance, until one day she says she needs some time. And he doesn't understand. He did everything right, but her love went to another man, a man who didn't even ask how her day was. This is the silent tragedy of the false hero. He believes love can be bought with effort. He wants to be chosen based on merit. But the game of attraction doesn't reward effort. It rewards value. And value isn't measured by how much you give. It's measured by how much you give of yourself. The false hero is driven by masculine logic. He thinks, if I do everything right, she'll recognize it. If I give her everything she wants, she'll love me. But the female mind doesn't work on that frequency. She desires what resists, not what submits. She values what is fought for, not what begs. She connects with what is admirable, not what is servile. And so the false hero, despite his good intentions, is always discarded in the end, because he doesn't awaken desire. He only offers comfort, and comfort without tension becomes boredom. Look around. How many men are being rejected right now while maintaining relationships based on pleasure? How many are left after paying for trips, renovating houses, or paying for their studies? How many are traded for men who haven't lifted a finger? The explanation lies in the essence of human desire. We only desire what we feel we don't fully possess. Philosopher René Girard, in his theory of mimetic desire, states that we don't desire objects or people per se, but what others desire. The value of something intensifies when we realize that many want it, but few have access. And this applies directly to the emotional realm. If you're easy, predictable, and too available, you don't represent scarcity. You represent banality, and banality is never desirable. A woman looks at you and sees everything given, everything accessible, everything guaranteed. There's no conquest, there's no emotion, there's no tension. Only obligation remains, and obligation kills love. And herein lies one of the most dangerous contradictions of modern culture. Men were taught to be good to deserve love. But female love isn't given by merit, it's given by magnetism. The good guy, the helpful guy, the dedicated guy, the one who never makes mistakes, the one who's always there, is respected, but not desired. And you need to understand the difference. Respect is rational, desire is visceral. And the woman surrenders to what destabilizes her emotionally, not what comforts her rationally. Therefore, the false hero becomes the greatest traitor to himself. He believes he's building love, but he's actually manufacturing disinterest. He gives himself up to be recognized, but he's actually digging his own insignificance. He thinks he's guaranteeing presence, but he's signing his own replacement. A woman doesn't want a man who says yes to everything. She wants a man who knows how to say no when necessary. She wants a man with non-negotiable principles, with his own vision, with the power of choice. She wants a man who is self-sufficient, because only those who are self-sufficient are capable of attracting, the rest beg. And begging attracts no one. You've probably heard a woman say, "I like a difficult man." But understand, difficult doesn't mean unapproachable or arrogant. It means selective. It means someone she feels she needs to win over. And it's precisely this feeling that the false hero nullifies. He gives himself before being chosen. He falls in love before being admired. He offers everything without even being tested. And because of this, he becomes irrelevant. And here comes a point no one likes to admit. There's a dark part of human nature that despises the weak. Women may say they want a caring, protective, devoted man, and many truly do. But they want this from a strong man, a man who has other options, a man who, even though he could live without her, chooses to be with her. Surrender is only valued when accompanied by power. Otherwise, it becomes subservience, and subservience is repulsive. Machiavelli in The Prince talks about the power of perception. He says it's not enough to be virtuous, you have to appear virtuous. In the game of seduction, this is even more intense. It's not enough to be good. You have to appear desirable. And to appear desirable, you have to have your own life, your own goals, your own limits. The false hero doesn't have these. He exists for her. And everything that exists for the sake of another is perceived as inferior, as dependent, as useless. You might think, but what if I find a woman who values what I do for her? This is the most dangerous question you can ask yourself, because it reveals that you haven't yet understood the central point. You shouldn't do it for her. You should do it for yourself. When you become a high-value man, Women enter your life as a consequence, not as a goal. The right woman isn't the one who appreciates what you do for her. She's the one who appreciates the man you've become for yourself. And now we come to the false hero's core wound. He doesn't love himself. He abandons himself in the name of a love that never arrives. He builds castles for a woman who didn't even ask for bricks. He sacrifices himself, expecting reciprocity, but doesn't realize that sacrifice isn't sexy. It's tragic. And no one wants tragedy. The woman he wants is busy desiring the man who doesn't need her, who has what she admires, not what she demands, who doesn't conform to her expectations, but who still obsesses her. This man doesn't do everything for her. He does everything for himself. And in doing so, he becomes everything she seeks. If you haven't understood this yet, you'll repeat the false hero cycle. You'll give more than you receive. You'll love more than you are loved. You'll expect recognition where there's only exploitation. And in the end, you'll be discarded for not posing a challenge, for not representing mystery, for not representing anything beyond convenience. You weren't born to be anyone's emotional support. You were born to be the center of your own journey. And only when you stop wanting to be her hero will you begin to be the protagonist of your own story. And it's at that exact point, when the false hero dies and the authentic man is born, that the dynamic changes. The woman no longer runs from you. She chases. She feels she must conquer, keep, deserve. Because now she's faced with a rare man. A man who lives for himself. And this man, my brother, doesn't do everything for a woman. He does everything for himself and therefore is desired by all. Join me in this flow. She tells you she was betrayed, that she suffered abuse, that no man valued her. She cries, looks at you with broken eyes, and you feel like you've been chosen for a divine mission to save her. You feel needed, important, special. After all, you're the one who will heal this wounded woman, rebuild her, show her that men are different. You'll be the oasis in the desert, the antidote to trauma. And deep down, you believe this will generate eternal gratitude, genuine love, unwavering loyalty. But reality, brother, reality will swallow you alive. Because when you become the emotional therapist for a broken woman, what you're doing in practice is taking on pain that isn't yours. And worse, deluding yourself that, by healing her, she'll stay with you out of gratitude. But feminine gratitude isn't the foundation of attraction, and love born of emotional debt is a farce waiting to be paid. Men who live in this savior illusion are motivated by two psychological poisons: neediness and ego. Neediness because they feel they need to prove their worth through usefulness. Ego because they believe they can solve deep problems with love and presence alone. But this mix is fatal, because when you try to heal someone who doesn't want to be healed, you become ill with them. You enter her chaos thinking you're offering peace, and when she emerges from the hole, she emerges alone. This is where many men collapse. After months of listening to complaints, accommodating trauma, providing emotional, financial, and physical support, they are discarded with a thank you for everything. And she moves on, renewed, beautiful, confident, in the arms of another. Someone who doesn't know her story, who hasn't heard her cry, who hasn't seen her worst moments, but who welcomes the best of her. This isn't a coincidence, it's standard. The woman you saved doesn't want to remember the pain. And since you've become a symbol of this phase, you need to be erased. You are an anchor, not a wing. You are a crutch, not a boost. You become the past she needs to forget to move forward. And then comes the cruelest blow. She falls in love with someone who would never have stayed with her while she was broken, but who now, with her restored, desires her. And you sink. You start to question everything. But I was with her when no one else would. I held her ground. I believed in her. Yes, but you forgot a fundamental rule. A woman doesn't join with those who supported her at rock bottom. She joins with those who represent the peak she wants to reach. And if you were part of the pit, you will never be part of the rise. The philosopher Albert Camus wrote that no man can heal where he has fallen. The same goes for relationships. She doesn't want to remember what she went through. She wants to rewrite the narrative with someone who didn't see her fall. And that's why, as cruel as it may seem, you will be left behind. There's a truth few have the courage to admit. Broken women don't want salvation. They want distraction. They want momentary comfort. They want a shoulder to lean on while they grow stronger. But the man who represents healing also represents fragility. He's seen you without emotional makeup. He knows too much. And this is a risk to the female ego, because anyone who's seen you vulnerable can see you weak, and she doesn't want to be reminded of her own weakness. As you help her, she rebuilds herself. As you support her, she regroups. As you embrace her, she looks at the world outside and begins to ask herself, could I have someone better now that I'm better? And the answer she finds is rarely you, because for her, you are part of the scar, not the rebirth. And here comes the brutality no one tells you. The man who chooses to be an emotional rehabilitation center is only postponing his own demolition. You will sink trying to be a pillar of a structure that wasn't made to support you. She never chose you as a man. She chose you as a resource, as an anesthetic, as a transition. You are not the prize, you are the treatment. And even if she says she loves you, that she's grateful, that she acknowledges everything. Understand, true love doesn't need gratitude to exist. It's born of admiration, attraction, desire. And none of that survives when you become a therapist. A woman desires a man who challenges her, not one who consoles her. She surrenders to what pushes her upward, not one who holds her pain. Nietzsche said that he who fights monsters should be careful not to become one. And you, by fighting her monsters, have become part of the emotional prison she wants to leave behind. You distanced yourself from yourself, your goals, your evolution, in the name of a romance that never existed. You believed she was a project, not a partner. And that's the fatal mistake. A relationship isn't a social project. It's not emotional charity. You're not here to save anyone. You're here to walk alongside someone who's already saved themselves, who's already healed, who's already built their own emotionally healthy foundation to complement yours. Otherwise, you'll spend your entire life trying to rebuild houses that were demolished from the inside. And when you understand this, you begin to look differently at that desire to fix. You realize it stems from your vanity, from wanting to be the difference in the life of a woman who doesn't even see herself as worthy of love. And if she doesn't see herself as worthy, she'll never receive what you offer. She'll waste it. She'll sabotage it. She'll destroy it. And then she'll blame you for not being able to save her. This is the savior's trap. You go in thinking you'll leave a hero. And she ends up a victim. Because a broken woman, when she decides to rebuild herself, seeks someone new. Someone who represents what she wants to be, not what she was. She wants to forget that she ever needed you. And when that happens, you don't just lose the woman. You lose faith. Men who go through this leave destroyed. They shut down. They become cynical. They become suspicious of everyone. And all because they believed love and pain were compatible. They aren't. True love only flourishes in healthy soil. And healthy soil is made of conscious choices, not emotional rescues. Do you want to be desired? Then stop choosing women who need healing. Choose women who have already healed, who have lived through chaos, and now choose order. Because only then will you be a partner, not a paramedic. And only then will you be loved, not just needed. The woman worth having is the one who doesn't need you, but chooses to be with you. Because then, yes, she sees you. She's not using you as a relief. She's not turning you into therapy. She's adding to what's already whole, and you need to be whole to recognize her. And if, even after all this, you still feel the need to help, save, or heal a woman, remember, the next one to need help will be you. And when that happens, there will be no one to lift you up, because you'll be alone, surrounded by memories of a battle that was never yours. If you're nice, you'll get stepped on like a ladder. Understand, have you ever noticed that the nice guy is always there, available, helpful, ready to solve any problem she has, but he's never the man she wants? He pays for dinner, listens to her vent, gives her rides, offers advice, is there for her in the darkest moments. But when she finds a guy who makes her feel something real, she disappears. And the nice guy wonders, why did she choose that scoundrel if I was the one who was always there? This is where the game reveals itself. The nice guy isn't the prize. He's the ladder. A rung, a means for her to climb emotionally, to feel more secure, more validated, more powerful, until she finds a man who ironically doesn't do even half as much for her as the nice guy did. But this other guy has value. And value in this game isn't in actions, it's in perception, in posture, in magnetism. The nice guy acts as if effort buys desire. But desire isn't negotiable. It's instinctive. This is the tragedy of nice guys. They think that by showing how different they are, women will recognize them as special. But this difference, in practice, feels like weakness. Because the nice guy doesn't set boundaries. He doesn't know how to say no. He's so desperate to be loved that he bends to her will. He doesn't take a stand. He doesn't lead. And because of that, he doesn't seduce. A woman may even like him as a friend, as support, as a listener, but she doesn't feel desire. And this puts her in a silent impasse. She even recognizes the nice guy's emotional value, but she can't surrender. Because surrender requires tension, masculinity, presence, dominance. The nice guy has none of these. He's too confident, too meek, too predictable. And because of that, he becomes invisible in the realm of seduction. The French philosopher Michel Foucault said that power doesn't need to be exercised to be felt. It only needs to be perceived. The same goes for masculine value. A man with value doesn't need to express it. He doesn't have to do everything. He just is. And because he is, he commands respect. He commands desire. The nice guy, on the other hand, is always trying to prove something. And everything that needs to be proven has already started out being doubted. A woman doesn't use the nice guy out of malice. She uses him because he offers himself. Because he insists. Because he insinuates himself without courage. Because he doesn't back down when he senses disinterest. Because he accepts crumbs, illusions, hopes, and no one respects someone who accepts little. She takes from him what she needs: attention, support, favors, advice, and when she no longer needs it, she climbs the next rung. And who is at the top of this emotional ladder? The man the nice guy despises, the scoundrel, the idiot, the mysterious one. The one who doesn't respond right away, who doesn't give himself completely, who provokes, who tests, who has a life of his own. This is the man she wants. Because he represents a challenge. And where there is a challenge, there is excitement. The nice guy wants to win her over with predictability. But women are addicted to emotional instability, to emotional roller coasters. Not because they're chaotic, but because they're driven by intense stimuli, deep emotions, sexual tension. And the nice guy, in his desperate attempt to be the ideal man, eliminates any trace of instability. He's the solid ground, and no one fantasizes about the solid ground. Think about movies, books, stories that have shaped the female imagination. How often is the heartthrob the guy who always says yes, who gets down on one knee, who does everything for her? Never. The desired man is the one who leads, the one who imposes, the one who has strength, the one who knows his worth. A woman wants to be conquered, not flattered. She wants to be embraced, not pampered. She wants to look at her man and feel, he's bigger than I can control. And that's what the nice guy will never be, because he lives to please. He lives to deserve. He turns love into a contest of good deeds. And the woman senses this. She feels he's not there out of conviction, but out of necessity. She feels he expects something in return. That every gesture of kindness carries an emotional toll. And so she pulls away. True seduction begins when a man no longer needs to seduce, when he's so whole, so focused, so confident that his very presence changes the atmosphere. The nice guy wants to be chosen, the man of value chooses. And this reversal of dynamics is what determines who climbs the ladder. And who is used as a ladder. You may feel like you're being treated unfairly, that women are wrong for not appreciating your kindness. But the problem isn't with them. It's with your strategy. You've been programmed to believe that doing everything for her is the way to go. But this path leads straight to the friend zone, to rejection, to oblivion. You're not nice. You're insecure. And this insecurity shines through in every action, in every message, in every look. The good guy is never remembered with passion. He's remembered with pity, with guilt, with embarrassment, because he represents the emotional mistake she doesn't want to repeat. She feels bad for having used him, but not bad enough to go back, because desire doesn't obey morality. It obeys impact. And if you want to make an impact, you have to break character. You have to stop doing favors expecting love. You have to stop listening to people venting, expecting gratitude. You have to stop offering everything expecting to be seen. You're not here to serve, you're here to be desired. And that requires a different attitude, a different voice, a different look. The good guy never does that. He waits, he dreams, he insists. He believes that one day she'll realize he's always been there. But that day never comes, because she already knows he's there. And precisely for that reason, she doesn't want him. The ladder is only used while it serves. When she reaches the top floor, she doesn't look back. And if you keep offering yourself, you'll continue to be used. Until one day you wake up, broken, frustrated, cynical, and wondering where you went wrong. You made a mistake by trying to be loved by merit. By forgetting that value isn't proven, it's felt, it's emanated, it's imposed. The man who lives to please will never be remembered with lust. And lust is the basis of every true connection. Without it, you're merely useful. And being useful without being desired is the greatest punishment a man can suffer in the game of attraction. A woman wants a man who, even without her, remains the king. Who doesn't need to lower himself to be accepted. Who, unlike the nice guy, doesn't become a ladder because he was born at the top. And if you still think it's worth being the nice guy, think about this. How many times have you been the shoulder to cry on, while someone else was the lap? How many times have you been the counselor, while someone else was the lover? How many times have you stayed while she was? If the answer hurts you, it's time to change, because the nice guy is the ladder. And no one has sex with the ladder. No one loves the ladder. No one wants to build a future with the ladder. Ladders are for climbing, and then they're forgotten. But there is a way out. And it begins the moment you stop trying to be everything to her and start being everything to yourself. When you trade other people's approval for internal admiration. When you stop pleasing to conquer and start conquering by being admirable. Then, yes, you stop being a stepping stone and become destiny. This way out is knowledge. Below I've left the link to the Forbidden Manual. It is indeed a weapon of war for fully understanding female psychology and how to be a complete and viral modern man. I don't know how long I'll make this work available, so I'll make sure to do it soon before it's too late. See you in the next video.